Welcome back to another edition of the Blue Review. The Big CY, Clinton Yates, is always with me, Greg Bergman, and the Blue Review is always presented by Los Angeles International Airport, where changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. We really need to transform Noah Syndergaard because he was absolute garbage last night and has been for a little while, and he is now on the IL. Clinton, there is one guy on this Dodgers pitching staff who has not been on the IL. You know who it is?
Who is it?
The guy pitching today, Clayton Kershaw.
Oh,
Clayton
right.
Kershaw is the only guy who is normally on the IL, a couple times a year because it just kind of helps him out, has not been on the IL, and he's the only one.
I don't know why I thought he had missed one start, but that's fair. And also, listen, IL performance, whatever it may be, the 2-week break is what Syndergaard needed, as evidenced by last night. I guess the blisters are a thing. It's just, and for those of you who don't know, we actually do rehearse and talk about what we're going to talk about on these shows. And yesterday, Greg sent me a stat that said they're 4-7 in games that Syndergaard has started. And that to me was a better number than I thought, to be quite honest.
Me too.
But sometimes it's not just about whether or not the pitcher is going to get the win. It's just, do you feel your team can get a victory when that guy is on the mound, regardless of his stats? Syndergaard just wasn't there. It showed up again yesterday against the Redlegs. You score that many runs, you expect to win a ball game, but they got walked off again. And it's starting to feel like, if for nothing else, since it's just a fun little story. You know what I mean? Elly De La Cruz looks great. They've had young players that have been coming up through the system for a while, and they're pretty much their biggest series of the season, probably against the Dodgers, and they're showing well. Yeah,
Elly De La Cruz had an absolute bomb in that first inning where it went to the very last row. I thought it was going to leave Great American Ballpark. Right. I mean, I know it's tiny and that thing you can kind of get out of that pretty easy, but my goodness, that thing was blasted. I have not seen a shot like that in so long.
Right. The thing about him, too, is that he doesn't look like a baseball player. Like, He does not have baseball frame. He looks like he could be playing. Look, the Lakers could pick him up. You know what I'm saying? Like, They need a guy with length and speed.
And a shooter.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this dude looks like a basketball player on the court, but he's got natural baseball skill. He is not raw. He is just new. And that's the thing about him that makes him so impressive.
Yeah, he kind of he reminds me of O'Neal Cruz. That's in Pittsburgh, has the same type of body, same type of power, but I think he's actually has more power. The minute that Elly De La Cruz stepped onto the field for Cincinnati, he all of a sudden had like the top 3 hardest base hits that there were in all season for them.
Right.
Like the dude just got power on power.
He's also a switch hitter. It's pretty amazing what he's got, what he brings to the table from a skill standpoint. I haven't seen a player like him at this age walk into the league that well in a while as a position player. So that was pretty good. They're playing today. Elly is actually going to be batting cleanup. So we'll see what happens.
Take long.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we'll see Kershaw, like we said before, on the mound. But just to go back to last night's game just a little bit, Syndergaard was obviously terrible in giving up 6 runs in his 2 or 3 innings. I think it was only 2 innings. And after that, the bullpen was really good throughout. I mean, Gratterall still allowed guys on base, and which is a little bit of a problem, giving up a couple of hits. But the guy that you trust the most is Evan Phillips, and he comes in the 9th inning and he gives up the game-winning yak. So, I mean, what, if you can't trust Evan, which I still do, just to be completely clear, this bullpen is a problem.
Oh, yes, but let's also not forget they didn't score any runs after the 3rd inning, and that to me is where, if you're going to know that this is how you have to win games, because you cannot trust the bullpen that you brought up, going to lead a little bit more late game bingo. I mean, that's just all there is to it. If you can't score late, it's going to be tough to win games when your pitching staff is that up and down, either as a starter or from a bullpen standpoint. So they got to find a way to figure that part out, because last night was a very winnable game. It just didn't happen because they couldn't get a run across the plate.
No. So, all right, what do you do with Syndergaard? He is now on the IL. What do you do with him? Is he done as a Dodger? Do you try and hope that he gets back?
By the time he gets back, it'll be
another
another 2 weeks for the All-Star break or so.
Yeah.
I think maybe he gets one more start, and then if you haven't figured it out by the All-Star break, you find a way to deal or do something else. That's what I think. I think you give him until Seattle at the Midsummer Classic.
So, okay, so are we giving him an extra out of necessity, or are we giving him an extra because of who he is? Because he's
It might be out of
Syndergaard, because
necessity.
he's Thor.
It might be out of necessity. I mean, again, there's not just arms for days for the Dodgers. I mean, assuming you don't bring somebody in. And I also think out of necessity of diligence to your own guy, you know, let's see, maybe the blisters did matter that much. You have to give that a chance if that's what you're going to say he's on the IL for. You can't just give him a courtesy 2 weeks off and then not give him a chance to come back if injury is the actual thing.
Yeah, if that actually is no, it's we have to kind of think. But his last 2 starts before this one, so 2 starts ago, he said, "This just isn't fun right now."
Right.
The last start, he said, I would give up my firstborn to get back my velocity back.
Proverbial firstborn. He doesn't even have a baby, meaning he would have to simply turn it over immediately to get his pitch back.
His mindset is not in the game, and this is just not fun for him anymore. And it just looks like, I mean, if you can't get it right with the Dodgers and Mark Pryor and all that stuff that they put together to make you a great pitcher like they did for Tyler Anderson and Andrew Heaney and all those dudes last year, maybe it's just not working. And maybe despite the necessity, if it's really, there is no necessity. If you're giving up 6 runs in 3 innings, there is no necessity for you.
No, I do wonder what he'll do during that 15 days. Is this one where he travels with the team? Is this one where he stays home and rehabs? How that goes, I think, will be as interesting as what happens when he gets back, because if the mental aspect is that far astray, well, then you've got to do something sort of different to get back rather than just say, I'm going to keep trying. So maybe he sticks with the team, maybe he doesn't, but I do give him one more start before the All-Star break.
All right. That's what we disagree on that. I'm done with them. I'm over it. I'm over the Syndergaard world. All right. Sorry for the downer of a blue review for today, but either way, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thank you to LAX. See you guys.